ACDC's in the house, and you know what? Every Friday Night Lights that comes on in every football stadium across the United States. Josh Stowad, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, ready for the red zone. And literally today, Dean, we're in the red
We
zone.
are back in the red zone. There's no doubt about it. I agree with you 100%, Josh.
There's great things going on, especially today, because we have this awesome gift that we've been granted by four head coaches who are bringing to the table their awesome knowledge. Because it's not just about X's and O's. It's not a run game. It's not a pass game. It's not Z fly. It's about leadership. And that's what it's encouraging that they're willing to bring that to us. So you know what, you in Alaska, Hawaii, Maine, Florida, or anywhere in the 48 middle, we're ready to rock and roll in the red zone today with these four awesome state champion coaches. What do you think about that, Dean?
Hey, Josh, you know what? You have fire and flair with that lead in today. And there's no doubt about it. So we talk about leadership across the board and education and what it's all about. And, if you hold the title of coach at a high school level, at any sport level, you have a responsibility to put together a roadmap of success and help the kids that you are teaching be the best versions of themselves as possible. As a past head coach for basketball for boys for 12 years, I love the opportunity I had outside the classroom to help make those boys a better learners, but more better athletes, and just to have them understand globally the importance of teamwork and vision and working together. All that stuff is so important. Hey, everybody, I'm Dean Packard, proud principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts, way up in the Northeast, way away from everybody here tonight. But I'll tell you what, we're going to have some fire and we're going to have some fun with our guests tonight, Josh.
Let's go. Let's bring him
Let's
in.
bring them in. Let's go. Let's rally. Okay, here we go.
No huddle. No huddle.
No huddle offense. That's right. 2-minute drill. That's at the end of the show anyway. Hey, gentlemen, welcome to the show. First and foremost, Josh and I want to welcome you. Say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy night to speak with us about the importance of what you do, why you do it, and how the impact of what you do every day has on your players and your community. Again, let's go around the board really quickly, introduce yourselves a little bit, and let's start with Philip. Philip, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for being here. I'm honored to be around these great coaches and you guys, and just appreciate what you're doing for us.
Outstanding. Well, welcome aboard.
Coach I'm from Lincoln High School in San Francisco. Sorry.
Thank you very much. I'm going to come back and circle back with that very quickly.
Yeah.
Coach Mathis, welcome.
Coach Mathis from DeSoto down here in Texas, man. How you doing?
Great to have you. Coach Scott.
Hi, Marcus Scott, head football coach at Destrehan High School. Glad to be with you guys tonight.
Outstanding. Welcome. Well, glad to have you with us as well. Coach Lombardo.
Tom Lombardo from St. Edward High School in Lakewood, Ohio, which is right outside Cleveland. I'd like to say I'm glad to be on, and congratulations to all my partners on here for state championship.
Congratulations is an understatement to all you guys, reaching the pinnacle, the holy grail, the state title. And I'll tell you, with that comes a lot of work. So, gentlemen, I'm going to start off with the first question I have for you. Tell the audience your origin, your story, and the different roles you've served in education, if you could. And let's go backwards this time. Coach Lombardo first.
Yeah, well, I've been in education close to 30 years. I think 94 was my first year. I've taught math and economics. I was actually, like you, Dean, a head basketball coach at one time, too, at university school. I've been an assistant, an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I've been a head football coach for 19 years now. And, we've been lucky enough here to win, 4 of the last 8 titles. And I had won one at another school before. So, I think teaching is what it is. It's the act of inspiring learning. And I think as coaches, we're teachers, and we want to inspire our students or athletes to learn, whether it's a skill, whether it's whether it's the quadratic formula, whatever it is.
I agree 100%. And great lead in right there. Coach Scott.
So I am originally a special education teacher. I've taught at all levels of special education from PPCD in Texas to the whole gamut in terms of the special education. So that's truly my background. That's my passion, and I have had some experiences in terms of coaching PE and things of that nature. But Obviously, our job is to, like Coach said, to inspire, to motivate, and to give hope to a lot of kids who don't necessarily see themselves being successful down the line.
Absolutely love that. Coach Mathis.
Hi, Coach Mathis. I've been doing this for 22 years. Got started from actually, I got into this profession because of a coach, my high school coach. This is why I'm in this profession right now. And very fortunate to have great high school coaches to mentor me and to put me in the situation that I am right now, man. And, I love it. I got started with doing special ed. And, it's just one of those things where his wife got me to doing special ed. I mean, I love working with special need kids, man, and it's all about our kids. So I always tell everybody, if I just teach you about athletics, I have failed you about in life, especially when it comes to football. So I've been doing this a long time, man, and just love it, man. But we're in this thing for kids, and I'm in this for kids, and hopefully we can pass on some of my work to other kids to make sure we get some other future great coaches in the world.
I love that. Passing on a legacy. Coach Phillip, you're up.
So I've been at Lincoln High School at 22 years. I was been the head coach that long. I've been the department head probably about 16, and pretty much got started late getting my degree. But once I got it, things kind of fell down. The dominoes fell, and just very fortunate to be where I'm at. And just like you said, mentorship. Our kids really need direction. Our kids really need to have consequences. Our kids thrive for structure, and amongst California, sometimes that's not the greatest thing, and how you do it is the way you do it, and you just got to work hard. And we believe in the 3Ds: dedication, discipline, desire. Dedicate yourself to something, do the best you can, have the discipline to do it every day, and have the desire to be great. That's it. That's how we built the program.
Keep it simple. right on top of that. Josh.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. You know what? The number one thing is always that speech right at halftime or right before the game that inspires that fire of getting rolling, getting those men motivated to go and charge and wear that name across your chest. But you know what? We always had that fire from within us. So talk to us. Hey, Phillip, who inspires you? Who was your role model that gave you that pregame speech that kept your fire going?
There's so many of them. So many people have touched my life, but probably my family, my brothers, we're all coaches. My brother Dan has been coaching 40 plus years in the college level. My other brother coached like 5 or 10 years there too. So just my family really inspired me, and also Coach Vic Rowan, who was in the 60s and 50s and the 70s. I played for him at San Francisco State. He was a great mentor to me, and also like Coach Mathis said, his high school coach Dan Hayes, who was the offensive coordinator at City College of San Francisco, one of the best city colleges in the nation. And he was my high school coach, and he inspired me.
Thank you. Marcus, who inspires you? Who gave you that fire?
My first coach was my dad. Coached me at the park, and from there, I went to one of the better middle school programs in the state here in Louisiana, and my coaches there, I saw not only what they taught on the field, but they also believed in discipline. But on top of that, I'm actually good friends with my group that I still hang out with now, because the coaches would take us to games and we would hang out together, and we built camaraderie, and we're still friends to this day. And so that's what inspired me to do it, to become a coach. And I even majored in marketing, but then I got a phone call from a friend of mine to come and coach, and I've been doing it ever since.
Beautiful. Thank you. Claude, talk to us. The fire. Who gave you the fire? Claude?
Well, I can tell you right now, it's gonna have to be my uncle. He pretty much was my role model. He was my role model growing up. He was my dad when I was growing up as well, and he really motivated me to do the things that I wanted to do and wanted to aspire. But he always was there motivating me, man. He always about him he continues to do that today. And I think I have to always go back to Trent Gregory, my high school coach, and Coach Cron, and was another high school coach. Coach Moy Mahaffey was another high school coach. I mean, I've been very blessed to have high school coaches in my life to get me to the point where I am. But the locker room speech, man, that just comes natural to me as well, because I'm a fiery guy, man, and I love this game that we play, man. And I love this game that we coach. So it's something that's just natural to me. But those guys really did motivate me a lot, and I couldn't have been. Hey, I'm not here without those guys right now.
Awesome for sharing. Thank you, Tom. Talk to us. Who gave you the fire?
Boy, like so many of these guys talked about, I got to go back and start my family. My dad, who took me everywhere to play sports when I was younger, and then when I got to high school, my football coach Dan Barron, my basketball coach Dave Belak, who's great friends with me to this day. My baseball coach who's passed away, Ray Sharnsky. And even as I became a young coach, mentor coaches like Bill Gutbrod, a legendary coach at St. Joseph High School. He was a paratrooper in World War II. My father-in-law, John Gibbons, was a legendary high school coach. And to this day, Larry Karras, who's one of the best coaches in Division III in College Football Hall of Fame. We talk a lot still about strategy. It seems like my whole life I always matriculated to coaches. I don't know why. They challenged you, but yet they gave you confidence. They made you feel comfortable with yourself and be able. And I just feel like from the so many I came in, Jeff Morton's, the people that gave me a job. It's just it's been a wonderful strain, and all we can do is pay it forward, like Woody Hayes said. And I think that's what these coaches are sort of saying.
Your job is more than just a football field. It's more than 100 yards, okay? End zone to end zone. It's about teaching kids. It's about formulating a vision that you have for your program and for your student athletes. Let's talk about that vision for a second. And let's see how each of your schools are similar, yet maybe have a little bit of difference when it comes to what those expectations are all about. Philip, why don't you start off for us, please?
So I'm looking for my expectations. Okay, so my expectations on my school to me, or what I'm expecting from the school.
No, your vision, the vision of your program, that trickles back into your school and into your learning community, and not only for your program but for your student athletes. What do you as the head coach see as the thing that's most important for them to be able to be successful? Again, winning a state title is fantastic, but being a good person, having those all those things that make up a good citizen are really important, because that sets them up for the work world ahead of them. So those are the things I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, we have this thing called the Mustang 7 character things that they have to sign with their parents, and they have to get them into me, and that they have to get them in now, like by Friday, because I want to see if they got skin in the game. Because I'm not gonna, you got to come up to the level that we want to be. And we can't be just floating around doing nothing. You got to get to class on time. I want good, solid kids who try their best, and a lot of our kids have a lot of difficulties, but that's not an excuse. You need to be on time. You need to be an active learner, and then on the field, it's the same thing. You got to be switched on. Otherwise, somebody else is going to play. No matter what everybody else in the neighborhood's telling you, how great they think you are, right? You gotta prove it to your teammates. So an accountability is huge for us, and also just being a good guy, doing the right thing. And we always talk about integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's around, right? We always pull that on. Did you do the right thing? No, because I could constantly, we could be here, all four of us could be here, just tell you a million things, right, about how many knucklehead things that our kids do, right? Right? Let's be realistic, right? And it's like, and then the first one they call is me, and I love it. Because I want to make sure those guys have a good venue to know what's going on. They have to learn how to communicate. Like when I was in school, I never put in late work. Now they accept late work all the time. So no, man, get your work on time. Be a student, because the football is going to be over. And my goal is to graduate high school and provide a safe environment and a family environment for all the young men that play for me and the girls who are my managers.
I love it. That's great stuff right there, Philip. Marcus.
Well, we like to focus on three things. I tell the kids, if you have a work ethic and you know how to treat people and you never quit, you always have a chance to be successful. And that the second one is one thing that I'm really passionate about in terms of how you treat people, because I always say you want to treat the CEO with the same respect. I'm sorry, you want to treat the person that's a worker, or what somebody may consider a low level worker in a building with the same amount of respect that you treat the CEO. And it's all about treating people. How do you treat people who can't do anything for you? To me, is a big judge of character, and that is very important. Next thing is we try to get the kids to understand that they need to be able to model the behaviors that we would like to see replicated, not only on the team, but we want to be models for the entire student body.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Yeah, we're a Catholic school in the Holy Cross tradition, similar to Notre Dame, in South Bend. So, I think you got to tie in what you're trying to do with the football team to what you're doing with the school. And our 4 pillars are: 1, faith formation. It's important. We go to mass before every game. We try to, when it's feasible to. Strive for excellence, build relationships, and be servant leaders. And I think those 4 things start you off as a pretty good football team. Like if you could keep stressing those and then you get some, overlap and backing with the school and the sport, you start, people like that. The community likes it. The school likes it. The teachers like it. It's not always 100% perfect, but that's what you're striving for. And similar to, Phil and the others, I say ABC, and then you can throw a D in there, accountability, be a good teammate, compete, and do right. If you sum up a player, like you need an accountable player. That takes in punctuality, turning in work. Are you accountable? Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Period. Be a good teammate. It's not about you. It's about the team. You got to compete, obviously, against good opponents and against each other at times. And then, of course, do right.
I love that. Claude.
Well, we're big in our culture here. We're huge in our culture here. And, part of our culture is discipline. Part of our culture is, holding each other accountable. Discipline is really huge. And, I always tell our kids to represent the DE. And because if you represent the DE, you represent our community, you represent our school, you're representing our football team. But, it's important because that DE is to us is national and is nationwide with us. So we want to make sure that we hold our each other accountable, and that's our standard. And we call our school DeSoto U because we've had so many players in the college and the NFL. But it's the culture, the reason why they're there, because they're not just not there because they did something in the streets or got in trouble. They're there because they have great culture and they have backgrounds. And, for me, it's to teach our young kids right now about life, because there's a lot of things right now that's happening in the real world that you see every day. You see shooting in schools. You see all this other stuff that's happening in the streets. And we got to tell our kids, you have to make the right choices. You have to walk away. Sometimes you have to get your teammate and walk away. And that's just part of our culture. So if I'm not teaching our young men that right now, I have failed them. But it's all about our culture right now. And I think if we can continue to do that and keep a strong culture here at DeSoto, it goes out throughout our whole school. And we're the leaders of that school right there, and we represent our school, especially when it comes to academics. And that's what I thrive on. Our culture is very huge here at DeSoto.
Awesome. Those are great pillars, great ideas, concept for the young men of this beautiful country of ours. So now let's break it down. Let's break down this starting of this season. What were your expectations of the program? Obviously, all of you were looking for state, obviously. But besides that, what were the expectations for this cohort of varsity players? What did you expect, and how was the season? If you want to get some little highlights and stuff along the way, because you know what? someone just got hired right now to be a head football coach somewhere in the country, and they're going to learn from you. So what were the expectations at the start of the school year, and how was the season up until playoffs, Tom?
Yeah, we had high expectations. We had won it in 21. So you know, it was, you know, you had the target on your back to compete. You know, it's funny, on our schedule is probably the toughest in school history. I think our opponents won something like 84% of their games combined. So a couple of them, we were their only loss. We had lost one regular season game, which I think really helped us, because I think we were winning the first 4 early, but not playing as well. We stepped back, made a lot of mistakes in week 5, but we played 2 state champions, one from Colorado, and then another one in Ohio that was one division below us, and then 3 other Final Four teams. So we had 5 teams that made the Final Four on our schedule, which is independent. You know, so we had to really look at it as each week was really prepping like a playoff week. I'm sure, like the other call, I'm not 100% sure but you know, there weren't many easy ones. So I think we started hitting our stride about week 7. I really feel like your team, you don't know them fully until you play 3 games. You know, you get a couple scrimmages, but when you find them in those pressure situations, you can see what they're made of. And you know, we were obviously able to get it done through the playoffs, which I know is coming up. But you know, that's I think how you got to look at it. You know, you don't want to say be thankful. You want to be thankful for the experiences, and sometimes that means a loss. You know, sometimes nothing has to be said if that scoreboard goes the other way. I think it wakes the kids up, and you know, we were certainly a different team after that happened.
Thank you for sharing that. Claude, talk to us. How were those Eagles prepping?
Well, I was prepping to try to make sure we had some discipline. This is the worst disciplined football team I've ever had starting out the year. I can tell you that right now. It was not good at all. And I knew that was going to be an issue coming in because of some of the seniors that I had. So we had to mold our seniors, man. And it turned out to be one of the best group of seniors to ever come through there. We started off, I think, 2-1. I can't even think. We got beat by a team. I tried to forget their names real quick. They're out of Cleveland, Ohio, man. They beat the mess out of us in Dallas, man. They were real good. They were really good. And, you know, that game, we grew from that game. And we never did look back. But I had to change some players. And, you know, that was one of my biggest factors this year was discipline with the senior class. And once we took that drumming and understood that where I wasn't going to waver, and they always laugh at me because I always tell them I'm not going to waver, and they make jokes about that, but I'm not. We're not. There's the little things that'll get you beat, and we won't waver because of our goals and because of our culture that who we are. And once they understood that, and it's a lot of tradition that goes on there, they took off, and I think we got better and better and better. And you know, one of my seniors, he had to learn the why, and I had to learn him. I had to adjust. I really did. I had to adjust these guys right here because some kids you can go at and some kids you can't go at. And I had to learn about this kid right here, and he's one of our studs. But he finally understood why we did things, and I had to get that to him. And once he learned why we did things on offense, why teams did that, it took us to another level. So I think this is my biggest year when it came to adjusting to the kids that we had, because I'm old school. I get off your tail real good, but I had to change a little bit this year. So I think it had a lot to do with the discipline that we had to get and me changing to adapt to some of the kids that I had this year, and it really paid off for us. And that's how we ended up winning the state championship.
Awesome. Marcus, Louisiana, talk to us.
Well, 2019, our program, you know, went to the championship game, came up short, and you know, I was able to take over for the 2020 season. But as you know, we all went through the pandemic, and so obviously that was a tough start just to get into a program where you had to communicate with the players over over the computer and things like that, and then from there, The next year we had Hurricane Ida. I'm not sure if you guys are even familiar with this. Well, our school we just moved back into our school like fully. So we had sections of our school still under repair. And so we actually had like a big community event where we allowed the community to come in and see all the upgrades that we made to the building. So our kids, they have been through a lot. So these seniors have been to the finals and then semifinal, and this year we finally got it done, got over the hump. And it's a tribute to those guys because I'm gonna tell you, we had strong leadership, and they had been playing together for many years since they were kids, and everybody had high expectations for this group, ever since they were in middle school. So it was exciting, but it was also a big relief to get it done.
Beautiful, beautiful. Philip, San Francisco, talk to us.
So California used to have like 4 divisions up until like 2015, and then they opened them up to like 7, a bunch of them, right? So our league is a section in itself. So we have to play our league title game, which is great. It's at Kezar Stadium, the old Niner thing. It's a beautiful place, and you play that on Thanksgiving Day, which is what our goal is every year, is to try to get there. And I look at it this way. I look at the little picture. I look at all the little things, and the big things will take care of themselves. We're a predominantly running team, and a lot of people, we control the clock and play good defense and good special teams. And we have been in, I think we've won the state championships 18, 19, and 22. And we've won about, 9 section championships since we've been there. So we are like the people that everybody wants to beat, which is great, because then I can use that to motivate my young men. Like, you're not going to get the worst out of them. You're going to get the best out of them. So last year we lost in the championship against Balboa. They played way better than us. And it was a good, hard game, and they deserved it. We made mistakes, and that happens. But then we use that for fuel because we want to play better. And our kids, we went 1-3 in the preseason. Played a couple teams that, I always try and get somebody you could, the usual, can I beat them? Yes. They're a little bigger. Am I going to have to get a little more better on this? And then we went into league. We started playing real well because guys are starting to pick up what we wanted. And we've been developing, our young guys too. So we got a lot of good guys. So then we get into the championship game, and I think the last 2 weeks of the year, the state championship game and the Turkey game. Turkey Day was 44-6, and the state championship was 54-6. And we didn't throw a pass in the state championship game, so he can't call it. I'm running it up, right? I'm just running the ball, and we played great. And it's a great buy-in when you see it, because when I first got there in 2002, they didn't win a game. And we've been, like I said, 13 section championships, winning 9, and then 3 state championships. So, yeah, it's good. I like still to have that level, and they know what that level is. And then the like Coach was saying about the culture, it's a culture. I am not going to play somebody who doesn't deserve it, and just because he's better, it's not going to happen. The guy who puts in all the work is going to get the glory.
Let's talk about that for a second. This is a little bit off script because I do have my question too, but the word adjustment, depersonalization, understanding the system is bigger than a player. Talk to me very quickly here, if you all could, about how you address your players to understand the importance of this. Is for all these new head coaches that are out there. Again, the system is bigger than a player, and it's huge. And when you talk about the mindset of high school kids, they don't always get that. And it's not an easy conversation. So if you could just break it down for me a little bit. Claude, why don't we start off with you? Because I stole that from right from your mouth. We started talking about that stuff. Those are hard conversations.
Well, you know what? It's funny that you said that because I went through that this year. Receiver Jonte Cook, and I can say his name because he's one of the best receivers to come to DeSoto. Jonte Cook was getting double teamed every game, and he wasn't getting the touches throughout the season because he was getting double teamed. And so when he didn't get double teamed, and he would light you up for at least 4 or 5 touchdowns, almost 200 yards receiving. But he understood, and I had to teach him. This is when I was talking about the reason why are they double teaming you? If they're double teaming you, we're about to rush for 300, 400 yards. He didn't understand that at first. Until finally, we kept teaching him and showing him what they were doing and what we would do if they start double teaming him, how the offense would thrive. And it still would thrive if they didn't double team you. Now you got to go to work. You got one-on-one. There's no excuse. That's one of the things that we had to teach him. And once Jonte understood that in our offense, he exploded and it became a team player. And I'm telling you, if we weren't able to teach Jonte Cook that, we would have been in a world of trouble this year with our offense. But since he learned that, he understood that. He's a very smart player when it comes to X's and O's as well. Man, we was averaging almost 600 yards total offense. We was averaging over 40-something yards points a game. He may have one catch, and he's okay with that because he understood why and how he fit in our offense. That's what made us a great offense, and that's why it was so important to understand why. And I was talking to Coach Saban about that. Kids, they ask why. You have to understand, you have to teach them and let them know why you do things in your offense and defense. And once they understand that, I think that makes them a better teammate. And he became a great teammate, not a better teammate, a great teammate, because we were able to explain why they were doing that to him. And again, unbelievable young man because of that right there. Unbelievable. Became a great team player and just exploded and everything. But that question right there was us all year long once we got that to teach that to him, not just him, but all our kids.
Great example. Appreciate that. Philip.
It brings me back to when I first got there, turning around the program. Yeah. You hear me?
Yes.
When I turned around the program, we had this young man named David Henderson, and he ended up rushing for the most yards in San Francisco history in 3 years. And he was unbelievable. And he was like the guys you talk about, special education kid who probably couldn't write something down, but he could probably act out whatever he saw and do all the characters. He was really bright and intelligent, just had some writing difficulties. And I used to have to get on him a little bit, you know. So we benched him and in a playoff game. And he came back. He was on the sideline, running up and down for his teammates, just hooting and hollering, man. And, you know, if you could see that and all his guys, he worked his butt off. He worked his butt off. And the kids respected that. They saw that this phenomenal athlete. I think he was a 10,600 meter guy. And he was 5'11", 195 pounds. And it's sad to say he's not with us anymore. The streets ate him up. Yeah. And just an amazing young man, an amazing way that he was a teammate and how much loved he was because he was a teammate, because he wasn't, you know, a me guy. He was a we guy.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Marcus.
So it's funny that we all deal with some of the same stuff. So yeah. We had a kid who was a leading tackler in the district, all district player, and also we had a receiver who I had to dismiss from the team. Some of the seniors came into my office and they were wondering, like, you know, hey, you know, what we're gonna do without you know, this player on defense. And you know, I say, listen, one thing about team sports is somebody will play. All right. And once they understood, like, they weren't sure if this next guy was gonna make it. Well, guess what? In the championship game, that guy had 13 tackles. But that's, and now they understand what team is about. And you know, what you won't do, what you're not willing to do, somebody else is. And the next thing is, you know, we have a lot of talented young kids, and what they saw this year was we ended up signing 12 to college. They all sacrificed their individual statistics and accolades, but we won the championship. So our receiver, who's going to Mizzou,
Can you say that one more time? They sacrificed what?
They sacrifice their individual statistics and accolades for team success. Like our quarterback was going to Tulane to play defensive back, but he's definitely an ESPN 300 defensive back if he would have just played defensive back. That's what's best for him. But he said, Coach, I want to win. So he played quarterback so we can win a state championship. We have a receiver that's going to Mizzou. He's an 80-catch guy. He took 40 catches so we can spread the ball around. Same thing. We got a back that's, a junior is a D1 guy, 1,800 yard back if we hand it to him 20 times a night, but he took 13 carries so we can win. Now, so when we get to the playoffs, now we can give it to you 20, 25 times. You know what I mean? So the best thing about it is they all sacrificed and we had team success. And they all got their individual there's the scholarships and stuff like that in the end. So these young kids see it. Now I can say, wait a minute, look what these guys did. They modeled the behavior like we talked about earlier. And the last thing I'll say is, Ed Reed and Justin Jefferson played at my high school. And, we had some very talented young guys come in. I say, listen, parents sometimes think they're too good to play freshman football. I said, well, if Ed Reed can play freshman football and Justin Jefferson can play freshman football, you can play freshman football, and they're both going to the Hall of Fame. Well, one is already in the Hall of Fame. So there's no excuse for that.
Well, the biggest thing I wanted, Marcus, for you to say again, give up your personal statistics for the team's benefit and the win. And that's so important for all you coaches out there. Tom.
Yeah, tough to add on to all those because it's the same thing. And I'll just take it in a different direction. I mean, same thing with ours. I don't think we've ever had a freshman, even in my tenure, even move up and play JV unless there was an injury at the end of the year or something. But we have about 190 to 200 kids from 9 through 12 playing in a school of about 950 boys. But first thing, the kids got to want to win the team championship over their individual accolades. And I'll tell you, I don't know what you guys are seeing here, but with the early recruitment and the pressure of college and to get on the field early, it's a tougher sell at our places. And that's why it's great that you have this Ed Reed story and guys exactly like us that played in the NFL are going Division I. We have 2 linemen going to Ohio State next year. Neither of them played varsity as a sophomore even. Neither of them played as a sophomore, and we won a state championship. They weren't ready yet. And, I think that's important. They're the greatest kids, and they buy into the program. It's harder to get kids because they want it now. If they're not getting an offer by a sophomore or they're not noticed, they're wondering what's going on. How am I going to get this off? And in some ways, they're right because these guys are recruiting these guys a lot earlier. In our era, or my era at least, there were still senior scholarships available. Forget about that now. It's hard to. I shouldn't say that, 100% of the time, but it's a lot more difficult with the world of the portal and everything else. So the first thing I think is you got to build that culture that, look, the team is more important. And there's a poem, indispensable, you splash your hand around in a bucket and it makes some waves a little bit. And after a few seconds, it goes right back to normal, so that's it. And then, once you can buy it, once you buy in, then you're ready to go as your team. And I think that's a real challenge nowadays. And I'll say this too. Oh gosh, I had a thought. The guys that want I was talking to the Browns. We had a chance to meet with the Cleveland Browns staff, and I asked them that same question about receivers getting the ball. You got to protect, throw it accurately, make the catch. Versus you got a great running quarterback or running back, you can hand the ball off, and it's a lot easier. And so especially in high school football in some ways that way, but. I said, how do you handle that? Like an Odell Beckham that was, played for the Browns, and you're with these guys. If you won the game, they only got, 4 targets, 5 targets, 6 targets, and 3 catches. And he said, yeah. He goes, first thing is it's good that they want the ball. It's good that they want to help and make their teammates successful. And you kind of understand, where they're coming from. And I guess probably in the NFL, there's money attached to that kind of stuff, which is in our case. But I think explaining that, we had that heart-to-heart too this year. It's like, look, we're averaging 6 yards a carry. Theoretically, we wouldn't have to throw. But we could be more effective if we're effectively rushing the football and we can chase the ball down the field. There's where you get your one-on-ones. There's where you get the separation between the linebackers and level 3, and you could get your playmakers the ball in space. And that really took us to the next level. Again, explaining the why. But, I think I'm coming to the acceptance that, look, yes, kids understand. They want to be good. They want to help. They want the ball. You explain then, if you're a good explainer of why this system is, now you can be successful with Claude and Margaret. They're all saying, I think it helps. But in the end, you're either with us or you're against us by the time it's done. You got to be with us as we go forward.
Great stuff.
Awesome. Gentlemen, we're going to, in the interest of time, we're going to smash question 5 and 6 real quick. Just one highlight of your championship game that you're like, pop. You know what I'm talking about? That one that you remember on the championship game. And also, what advice or what is your vision for middle school coaches? This is Unlock the Middle, where we deal with middle school coaches, with middle school mentality, with middle school environment. So what is your vision as a state champion head football coach for the middle school? So give me one great scene that happened during your championship game. And also, what's your vision for middle school coaches? Tom.
I'll start because I'll go real fast. 10 sacks, and we don't have a middle school, so I'll defer on that one.
Marcus.
Well, the state championship game is tied 10-10. It's about 3 minutes to go in the game, and the kid I was telling you about, the two kids we talked about, the quarterback who's going to Tulane, there's a defensive back, and the receiver that's going to Mizzou. He was kind of hobbled in the semifinal game. Well, that last drive, he completed three passes to that kid, and then at the end, he dropped back to throw. It was man coverage. He took it up the left side, scored, and that turned out to be the game winner. And in terms of middle school, I'm sorry, we're gonna come back to middle school or do that now?
Now, go ahead right now. What's your advice for middle school coaches? Your vision?
No job is too small. I tell people all the time, I've done every job you can name. I've coached middle school. I've coached high school as a position coach, a coordinator. I coached in college. I've been a head coach in high school. If your head coach asks you to do something, or you should be proactive, and you know what needs to be done, then you need to do it. And the whole thing about young coaches being entitled. I came up in coaching under a guy named Vic Umine, who was an old school coach. He's a grinder 7 days a week in the office, and you had to do it. You had to mark the field. You had to do the laundry. You had to do all that stuff, and it made me a better coach. And so when guys feel like some of that stuff is beneath them, I have to sit them down and have this conversation.
Thank you very much, Phil.
So from the state game, we played it at Kezar. Crenshaw came up from LA. So there's that LA 49er thing, the Ram Niner thing that it was kind of cool. And it was pouring rain. So we get the ball. I think the first series, we get the ball. We're going to get the ball to our running back. He went 70 with it. We come back and then, we score. And they come down and they have a pretty good drive. But they came at us 4th down and 1 on 4th and goal, right? And one of my guys, who we call the Sloth, big, tall, slow-moving, good-looking, athletic guy, makes an unbelievable hit on the 1 yard line that stops this guy, right? Unreal, right? Here he is, this kid who's really athletic, finally goes in there. You see him, the last couple of weeks of the year, his stance was better. He's more switched on. He made some great plays, so athletic. And then he makes that play, and I'm going, all right, we're all right. Then the next play, they shotgun snapped. I think it was 3rd down, then 4th down. Shotgun snapped over his head, and we ran over there, and our nose guard threw the guy who jumped on the ball so the other guy could get it, and we had it, right? And then, we scored 2 plays later on a midline option.
What about middle school coaches? About their
vision? San Francisco open enrollment, and a lot of kids that we get have never played football, Most of the kids that play football on Pop Warner are getting recruited by the Catholic schools or the private schools, and I just take whoever wants to come. So I mean, I reach out to some of the organizations, the Pop Warners, and I have a relationship with them, and I'm trying to get. I really would like to try and. I used to have a guy that we'd share ideas, another coach in the league, and I'd like to get more involved with that because I've been doing this 40 years. I want to pass it on. Not everybody knows everything. I don't know everything. I've got playbooks at San Francisco State, right, from the 1950s, and you look at them, it's the same stuff as they're doing today. It's amazing, right? So like, I got all this stuff to help people out, and I'm trying to reach out and get people together to talk football and move it along because it's a lost art. Back in the 60s and 50s and 40s in San Francisco, population was bigger, more kids, more people were getting picked out of there. You know what I mean? People were going to scholarship, all that stuff. 80s and 90s kind of dries up. 2000s, really not much. Not many kids, right? Kids are moving out to the suburbs. They get great teams out there, all from the San Francisco connection, from their families moving out there. So we don't have many, but the ones we do, we try our best with them. And I think I'd really love to just, I love talking football, and I love, trying to help people out with, practice schedules and how you do stuff. Thanks. Sorry to talk too long.
Not at all.
Tom, you're really good, man. You got it down.
Coach, Texas has a great supply chain of middle school coaches. Talk to them. Talk to them.
Yeah, I'm gonna start out with the middle school coaches, and I will get to our state championship game. But with me, we have the luxury of our junior high coaches, and we have some great junior high coaches in the state of Texas. And for me at DeSoto in our district, we have some great junior high coaches at our feeder schools. And with me, I love hiring within. So I love hiring our junior high coaches. But in order for you to hire junior high coaches, for me, you have to come around. You have to be around. You have to want to learn. You have to want to be a coach, not just showing me that I see you on Thursday nights or Friday nights. You have to come to the practices. You have to run it like the program that we run at the high school. You have to run our offense. You have to run our defense. You have to be visible. And that's what I look for in our junior high coaches. I will promote our coaches anywhere as long as they're doing the right thing by us and the right thing by them, and most importantly, by the right thing by our kids. So I would say to junior high coaches, be visible. If you want to move up to the next level, show the coach that you want to be a. If you want to be a varsity coach, show him. Be around. Be visible. Be there on Saturday mornings when varsity shows up. Be there on Sundays when the varsity staff is there. And if the more and more you're around, especially for me, I will hire you in a heartbeat because I know that you know our system in and out, but I know you want to be there, and I know that you're committed and you're loyal to the program. Now, going into the state championship game, we had a lot. I think one of the things that sticks out to me, and I'm an offensive defensive guy, but we had 3 sacks in a row that just totally changed the game in the second half. I mean, you can tell they didn't want any more of that right there. I mean, our defensive line played out their mind as usual. But the thing that I really enjoyed the most, guys, was watching my twins play and my younger son play and enjoying the championship game with my boys and my family after that game, man. I mean, that was special. That was special to me, and I will never forget that. And, I don't want to talk too much. I get teary-eyed about it, but that's one of the greatest moments that a coach and a dad can have is to enjoy state championship with his kids, and you're watching them play at the same time. And we played at Cowboy Stadium too, AT&T, so it was a blessing. It really was.
That's real. I mean, that's great stuff. I love that you talk about the system. Most successful programs that have success year in and year out have a system that trickles down, whether it's verbiage, plays, expectations. The more you have that succinctly laid out, the greater the program is, the greater the success for the program too. I'm gonna say two things right now. 2 groups: parents and administration. They can make you or break you. And within about 1:30 each, I'm going to put a time limit on all of you. Talk about parents first and then administration and your view towards them and helping you become successful in your program. And let's go with Tom first.
Yeah. So with parents, the first thing I say is, look, they're there. We're parents, obviously, and we may or may not. They all have their best interest of their kids in heart, and you understand that. However, I feel like if you could get the kids to understand what you're doing, I tell them sometimes, hey, go home and explain to your parent, or you draw it up there and and be a supporter that way. If your parents start saying negative things about the pro, you're the ones here, you be a supporter of that. And with administration, I talked about our pillars. If you're a good citizen in school and you're a school person and you don't think the program's out bigger than, they're still student athletes, they're still getting a degree. Their career could end on a play. You're still developing them for many other things, not just football.
Well said, Marcus.
So in terms of parents, I think the first thing that I always express to them is that we are try to be an extension of the home. And so, as I've had parents to call and say, hey, little Jimmy didn't finish his chores. I say, I'll take care of him at practice. That's what we're there for, to work together to build the young man up to be a responsible citizen. And so in terms of the administration, I think that the thing that administrators appreciate, and not only administrators, but teachers as well, is when you integrate yourself into the faculty, as opposed to, saying, hey, I'm a state championship coach, I'm above reproach and things of that nature. So I try to be very approachable. I try to have a relationship with the administration and the parents, as well as the staff. And, as long as we communicate, I think things usually work out for the best.
Claude.
I think when it comes to my parents, you have to communicate it. You have to communicate. You have to communicate, and I tell them the truth. You may not like it. You may not like it what I'm telling you, but again, you're going to get the truth from me, and that's what has been successful with me and my parents. As long as you communicate with them and let them know what's going on, and also letting your kids know. You're and Tom was right. I always let our kids know. Sometimes you got to go home and explain to parents why we do this and why we do that. And sometimes it's better. Sometimes coming from the kids, because if they're coming from their own child, they understand the process and what the coaches in, and especially when it comes to team. So that's huge for me right there, is communication, and make sure that I'm up in front with our parents 100%. Now, from the admin, I've always said this, and I live by this. I'm only as strong as my administration. I've always said that, and I'm going to go my grave by saying that. Our administration, they do a great job, and I've always, try to find a place if I'm going to try to find another job, or if I'm interviewing somewhere else, which I haven't had to do that. But in the past, I've always looked for a great administration and somebody that's going to support us. But it's always about the kids. Our kids will always come first in academics, and if I can find a place like that, I'll be just fine. And our administration does that very well.
Great stuff right there. Philip.
Well, I've had great parent support over my 21 years. We have a team dinner every Thursday night. They're great, potluck. They're really involved with that aspect of helping us guide their young men. And also the administration. It's been I haven't done nothing but love. Sometimes it's really hard, but you got to make hard decisions, and that's why we got the big boy pants on. You know what I mean? You just got to do it. Sometimes some people might not like it, but hey, you got to take care of your administration, and also you got to take care of your team and make sure they're doing right. Like Tom was saying, hey, we're here to be better people. All of us are saying we want to make our kids better people, young men. I always tell them, you got to wake up in the morning and you got to provide for your family once you're out of here. Somehow.
Can I say one more?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, can I say one more thing about that? Our booster club is, I don't know how these guys have booster clubs, but our booster club is tremendous, and it's a great parent support system that we have here in Texas. I know we do have a lot of booster clubs, but I know our system when it comes to our parents, my booster club is really huge in our success, especially with communicating.
Building a community, no doubt.
Gentlemen, 45 seconds. That's all you're allowed. We're on crunch time, all right? We got no more time. Here we go. Philip, you're talking right now to a senior in college who wants to be a head coach. What do you tell him or her?
Wants to coach or be a head coach?
Be a head coach, the main.
Oh, you got to be organized, man. And you got to have a vision. And you got to see what you want to see and how you want to do it.
Coach Mathis.
Couldn't have said it any better. You have to be organized, and you have to have a vision, but you better be mentally tough too as well, because it's going to be some hard decisions that you have to make. And again, them big boy pants will be worn. I promise you that.
Right. The big boy pants on.
Marcus.
Gotta have the big boy pants on.
Yeah, I would tell them to be willing to learn the operation from the ground up. That it shouldn't be a job. It shouldn't be a position on that field that you could not look at and understand what's going wrong, what the coaching points are, in terms of structuring your practice, all these different things. Learn the job, learn the process, and then everything else will fall in place. But you have to fall in love with the grind of it and the grunt work, and you got to really, and it's hard to find young guys who want to, because it sounds like all of us were kind of raised old school in the game.
Yeah.
And so, and look, so that's what I would tell them. Learn the operation from the ground up.
Tom.
Don't lose sight of being yourself. Be humble and find a great mentor.
Well, there you have it right there, guys. Listen, Josh and I want to say thank you very much. Again, I'm thinking back to all my great years of 12 years of being a head coach, and there were a lot of ups and downs and opportunities for learning for across the board for everybody. And I said to myself, it's probably coaching is the most autocratic thing in public education. And I've always said that your administration has to back you in the beliefs that you have with your kids, or you're not going to find yourself there very long. And again, you market to your parents and your players what you think is right, and you build your programs. And obviously, all of you here tonight have built really great, strong programs, and that's a tribute to what you do each and every single day. So thank you for being on our show tonight. Josh, closing remarks?
Let me tell you one thing. 1 yard line.
Touchdown.
Guys, up the A gap. We scored a touchdown. We got another championship with all these coaches. Great job. Thank you for everybody. And if any of you guys play against each other, you better invite us on a sideline. I will go. If Texas takes on Ohio, you better invite me. I'll go. I don't know about that guy from Massachusetts.
Come on, I'll fly down. Absolutely.
We'll
Come
go.
on.
If you guys play
Build
against
my
each other, you
capacity.
better invite us, all right?
Be around these guys.
I'd have to play their middle school team. Sorry.
But thank you very much. Hey, but don't forget, team, the flagship show, Sunday flagship show, 7 p.m.
Also, it's Sunday?
Yeah,
Okay,
we have three of
Sunday
them, brother. 3 of them.
Oh, okay.
Josh will stand here.
You guys have opened up a box for us. We're going to be getting state champion coaches from all different sports now because of you guys. Thank you very much. I'll tell you, you guys have set us on a path. So,
well, why don't you give us an address so we could send you a little swag?
Oh, we could do that. Yeah, absolutely.
So you can represent.
We can do that. We'll throw it on the show.
Problem, is it in your budget? I know those Catholic schools, they don't have any money.
He's got Texas booster money.
We got the collection basket.
He got that. I know I'm a Texan. I know he's got that.
Marcus is all over LSU. Come on, man. We got
No, I need a loan from Coach Mathis.
No, seriously, guys, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you for sharing your.
Dude, I'll swag, man. Just send me some stuff. I love to share, man. I was really humbled by all this and see your great stories, and just we're so lucky to do what we love.
Yep. And it shows.
I appreciate you guys, man. This was a great show, and then good luck for you guys this upcoming season as well, man. It's good to meet some brand new people, but we're all in it for these kids, and I really enjoyed you guys. So thanks for having us and putting us on this show today. You too. Appreciate you guys.
Our pleasure, guys. Hey, have a great week, everybody. Remember, it's about the kids. Don't ever forget that. It's why we do what we do. Everybody take care. Stay on for 1 second if you could, please. And be well.